These are the quiet streets of Johannesburg in a time when the world came to a standstill due to a life-threatening attack, COVID-19. South Africa reported a record high employment number in June 2020, with the number of businesses that closed down. To help combat any further loss of employment, President Ramaphosa announced an ease of restrictions every month since May 2020, which include hair salons and restaurants, but with strict health protocols. The Gauteng Provincial Government, led by Gauteng MEC for Economic Development, Agriculture and Environment, Morakane Mosopie, supports the health protocols by conducting site visits to ensure that businesses are compliant.
Alcohol, 70% alcohol can be anything. There are other things that need to be in the sanitizer to make it compliant with the rules. So I'm going to have her explain to you what it means and what's supposed to be in it. So the other thing that's going to happen is that if we find, if our officers, our compliance officers are not happy with what is in here, and happy I mean it's according to the regulations, we are going to have to take it off your shelves and to ask you to stop selling it until you get the compliant thing. But let's explain to you what is expected of it. If you have all the, at least those two basic things that we said, then we'll give you time to do all the other things. Your sanitizer must be correct, it must be compliant. There must be a COVID-19 plan. You must be able to do the temperature thing. The screening
of all employees every morning.
Yeah, every morning. And then if you find that anybody's temperature is high, the health people will be at the malls, all of the malls in Gauteng. So you take that person, you call them, actually don't take anyone. You keep that person in the store, you close the door, you keep the person in here, and then you social distance from him, and then you call the health people. They will come and then do what they're supposed to do as health professionals. Remember, the reason is we don't want you to get sick. We don't want you to
get those things today.
You can open.
You can open tomorrow.
Yes, you can open tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.
The department also visited schools and townships to ensure that they are adhering to the health protocols.
There are some pockets of improvement that are needed to be worked on by the school and the department, and they must be done post-haste. They were still fixing the toilets and water was stopped, but for fixing. So by the time we went to the second floor, the first floor was okay. So I think, and I was assured that it will be ready in the next 30 minutes. I'm going to make sure that I'm here before I leave, make sure that it's in place. As far as provision of sanitizers in all the blocks, that's in place and that's good. In terms of your other requirements, your scanners that they do have, but I'm sure you saw they have a problem with the affected by the weather, some also that will have to be addressed as well, but they are in place. Their screening forms, they have that in place. They also have a pack for parents to assist the school children to fill it out as part of screening and making sure that the kids are school ready. So earlier on you asked about the school time. It's your normal school time. They're starting at 8 o'clock and then they'll have to finish at 2 o'clock. The social distancing in the class I'm satisfied with. It's 20 students per class and they have how many? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 classes. So yeah, that I'm happy with. They're just finishing off 2 classes. I'm told that the person who was supposed to prepare that was not feeling well, but he's here today and then he's making sure that that is done. My biggest worry is the scanners and the perimeter fence. The rest of the things I think are okay.
These interventions are part of the 6 strategic pillars set out by Gauteng Premier David Makhura, who addressed its citizens in May 2020.
In the process of our work, improving the capacity of the state to respond to the needs of our people and also the agility of the state, using this period to also sharpen the capacity of our government to deal with any disaster that will arise. That's the 3rd pillar. The 4th pillar, work related to the economy.
Part of the success of these 6 pillars is for the different departments to collaborate to ensure the safety of its citizens. On the 12th of July, South Africa reported an increase of nearly 65,000 cases in 1 week, with Gauteng as the hotspot for coronavirus cases. These numbers could increase as a big part of the population is relying on public transport.
Taxis undertaking long trips will have to adhere to a 70% occupancy. But those who are undertaking local trips will be permitted to increase their capacity to 100%. And this will be on condition that new risk mitigation protocols related to masks, vehicle sanitation, and open windows are followed.
In a community, taxi rank in the economic areas of economic activity, there's been lots of work to ensure that the taxi ranks are disinfected, but also to enforce compliance with the mask. So the level of compliance is higher. It doesn't mean that everybody complies, and that's why we have to do the spot checks. Even in the economy, the level of compliance in the shopping malls is increasing every week. When we do the spot checks, the MECs are going to malls, shopping malls. The reason we focus on the transport nodes is because they are areas of high risk for the transmission of COVID-19.
A concern for the provincial government is the level of compliance at public spaces, but also in the townships. The challenge is that a number of people in townships don't have access to running water or sanitation products. MEC Murakane Mosopie said in a statement that poor conditions under which people live make them fail to socially distance, and spearheaded to distribute hand sanitizers as part of the provincial government's sanitizer rollout. These interventions, along with collaboration from the private sector like BMW and Nissan that set up field hospitals in Roslyn, would go a long way to help.
We welcomed the contribution that BMW and Nissan in Roslyn want to make. So BMW and Nissan in Roslyn, this is the automotive sector, would like to set up a field hospital in partnership with government, like the automotive industry has done in the Eastern Cape. And we welcomed that initiative because it will add more ICU beds for us. So we are working with BMW and Nissan on that initiative. And I want to take this opportunity to really thank them. So those sectors of industry that can put more resources to enable. We have up to 10,000 workers working in the automotive sector there in Roslyn. And Roslyn is just adjacent Soshanguve. So that facility, the field hospital that the automotive companies would like to set up with us there, will go a very long way in adding to the number of beds we have, including in ICU.
To further help Gauteng's economy, Gauteng MEC for Finance Nomandungo Moralehoko announced at Gauteng's special adjustment budget that 4 billion rand will be added to Gauteng's budget.
The review of the GGT 2030, departments ensure that they are ready for the implementation of their initiatives that is linked to their plan. Where acceleration and especially on infrastructure is possible, it must be implemented without delay. Growing Gauteng Together plan interventions will need to respond timelessly in a very targeted manner. Our interventions need to be tailored to a specific sector and for specific and vulnerable groups in our society. Growing Gauteng Together Plan 2030 contains a comprehensive measures that can help with the economic mitigation, job preservation, socio-economic recovery of this period. And therefore, it is critical not to lose sight of these measures because Gauteng is the engine of South Africa's economy. Towards towards the economic response, the following amounts have been allocated. We have allocated an amount of 250 million to support small, medium, and micro enterprises through partnerships with the private sector to raise money required to expand procurement and business development support. Supporting township economic development through regulatory reform and programs.
This boost in Gauteng's SMME and township economy is in response to the inequality laid bare by the pandemic. One township entrepreneur that has already seized an opportunity during the pandemic is delivering online purchases to the township areas. As the government called on its citizens for minimal movements, these entrepreneurs responded by picking up groceries, medication, and clothes through an online app. Even with all these interventions in place, the increase in the number of COVID-19 infections remains a concern for the Gauteng Provincial government.
We always say to you, so far, so good, but the road ahead will be tough. The road ahead will be tough. And we don't want to give the people of our province false hope. We always say we need to do all these things. So far, we have been able to do well under the lockdown conditions, and the lockdown has worked for us in Gauteng. Evidence is there to point out that the lockdown has worked, but the road ahead is something that we must chart together.